And there it goes. Boom! Mm-hmm.
Classical song.
Hey, that was a classical song. Perfect. All right. Hello, and welcome to the Rock and Roll Podcast. I am your host, John Harris. On my right-hand side is my right-hand man, Gabriel.
What a boy!
And today on the Rock and Roll Podcast, we have Nuclear Winter. The second time they're going to be on this show. And they've got a new EP called Stormscapes, which released on July 15th via MMD Records. Right now I'm being joined by Gary himself back on the couch to chat about all things Nuclear Winter, what he's been up to. We can chat about a couple of tracks off of the new EP. So, Gary, welcome back onto the show.
Oh, hi. Thanks, John. It's great to be back chatting with you and Gabriel. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the chat.
Beautiful. Absolutely. I was going to look up really quick the last time that you were on. It feels like it was just yesterday, though.
Yeah, it was a little while. I'm trying to think. About a couple of months, was it? Can't remember.
Yeah, looks like we chatted in February, so that would have been the last release that you would have had.
Wow, okay, yeah, so time does go faster than you imagine.
It sure does when you're in a nuclear winter.
Totally.
Now, go ahead and take us through what it was that you put together here, Gary. I know that is kind of like a big, wide-open, swinging question, but I guess, when it comes to releasing material, artists these days have so many choices. They could just pop out a single. They could, do an EP like you did, or, you could have come out with a full album with, vinyl releases in 12 different colors. There's so many different options these days. I guess take us through why an EP and what did you set out to create with Stormscapes?
Okay, I think the idea with Stormscapes, after finishing Night Shift, was I wanted to create something that was, that I could produce quicker and not just spend months and months working on songs. So the idea was to try and put together cool songs that didn't take as much work as Night Shift, and keeping the ideas fairly simple without sort of affecting the overall song. So it's basically, just an idea to get an EP out with a few songs, because if I was going to work on a full album, it would have been months or probably a year or so before I would have released something. So this was kind of like an in-between. So, there was Night Shift, then this in-between EP before I released the next full album.
Mm-hmm. Kind of an interesting question, but are these tracks by chance kind of like breadcrumbs from Night Shift? Is it kind of like picking up where you left off, or is this like totally brand new ideas?
No, it wasn't breadcrumbs or what I call scrap metal. It was no, these were just new ideas. I thought, let me just try and simplify things down, just use one guitar sound, one drum kit, and just work with that and just try and get these songs out sort of as quickly as I could without obviously affecting just the standard of them. So it was just an idea on its own, sort of its own entity.
Okay. Now, speaking of these entities, let's go ahead and chat about the tracks on the EP, and specifically two that we were going to chat about today are The Wide Water and The Northern Winds. So I guess take us through The Wide Water. What is The Wide Water?
Okay, well, the song, lyrically is it's fairly straightforward. It's just basically about a guy who's lost, or someone who's lost a loved one at sea, and they sort of go out and sort of yearn for a connection with their spirit or ghost or whatever, and how they feel a calling that spirit wants them to join them. So he should feel like he should go and drown himself as well in the sea to join his loved one. But in the end of the song, he realizes, no, he's got sort of pulls himself together and says he's not going to succumb to that. He's not going to go and commit suicide and sort of take control of the situation himself, even though he's still longing for his loved one.
This is very poetic, Gary. I mean, you sound bashful when you're saying it, but this is incredibly poetic.
So, that was the basic idea behind the song, and I just wanted to include that one because a lot of the reviews I got on the album, they said that was one of the better songs, or at least the best one on the album, so that's why I wanted to include it. But that was the basic idea behind it. Just someone not succumbing to the calling of a past loved one.
The sirens at the sea, although maybe that's something slightly different than, the ghost of a loved one at sea, but...
Yeah.
A common topic, I guess, of the sea causing madness in men. Of which I have no understanding, because I'm not from the sea, Gary.
Yeah, no, I'm from a landlocked country, so I'm not too sure.
Well, then I was going to ask, is this something that you've experienced personally? But, I mean, if you're from a landlocked country yourself, then...
No, I think it's just the idea. It's kind of a nice melancholic thing to talk about.
Yeah, the interesting thing, Gary, is you mentioned, no, I'm not going to commit suicide. I was like, whoa, it's not suicide. He's just joining his loved one at the sea. It's almost crazy how... when we poetically say, like, no, I'm going to go join her. She's out there. It's not suicide. It's almost like it's not suicide at that point. And then when you mention it's suicide, it's like, whoa, buddy.
Yeah, no, you're right. No, it is more just a reunion, I guess, rather than anything bad.
Aww, a reunion of souls.
Yeah.
Now, lyrically, is that the kind of concept that permeates through the entire EP, or is this a one-off thing?
That's kind of a one-off thing. I tried to make each of the songs have a different topic at least. So no, it's not a theme that you will see throughout.
Okay. Now, when it comes to the northern winds, what is this track about? Are the winds from the north also saying something?
Yeah, this is, again, a metaphorical storm, I guess. It's... the idea on this one was how someone or something, even the world, can sort of turn its back on you and you left out in the cold on your own. So that's sort of the metaphorical winter and the winds, how you just left to kind of deal with things yourself. And the idea later on in the song is, even though you're put in a situation, the only person you can fully rely on is yourself, and you're the only one who can get yourself out of this bad situation that you've been left in by either someone or the world or just events or something. So although it's kind of a black metal track which should be kind of depressing and everything, it's kind of towards the end of the song it's more positive. You can kind of realize you got yourself to rely on and you can find your way from there. That's more or less what the idea of it was.
Yeah, that's actually incredibly positive. You mentioned it started off kind of sad, but then it obviously gets really quite positive. And what was I going to say? I don't know. Is there anything in particular that kind of maybe set that off? Like, reaching towards the goals of maybe even just nuclear winter?
I suppose it could be, a bit of stuff I've experienced myself and just realized that these things can happen, and you're the best person to sort of rely on to get on top of things. And I think that's more or less how it came about.
I'm reminded of a quote from the movie Pursuit of Happiness. I know it's in the book, and I recommend the book for anybody who wants to read it. The movie does a fairly decent job of reenacting the book, but the line is, what if the cavalry isn't coming, and it is entirely up to you to get out of whatever mess you are in?
That fits perfectly. And I think I did see the movie, but not the full thing. I saw part of it.
Okay.
But that sounds like it's got the same, very similar idea.
Absolutely. Sweet. Now, so we've chatted about a couple of tracks here, The Wide Water and Northern Winds, and then there's 3 other tracks on the EP. And I guess I'm curious, Gary, why these 2 tracks to chat about as opposed to any of the others?
Well, the first song on the album, Hearts of Stone, I had done a few interviews where that's the only song we spoke about, so I didn't want to just go over that one again. It just seems that one has been done and dusted. So I wanted to focus on the other ones. And then the covers, New York, and Africa, those were just kind of done as a fun thing, just a fun attempt to try and see what I could do with the original songs without making them like too crazy. I like the idea of New York, just as a thing to try and tackle vocally, because I haven't really done much clean singing before this point, and I thought that's a cool song to actually attempt to try and see what I can do. So yeah, it was more or less a test, a test track to see how I could get things to sound. And then Africa, that was just another fun one. Just kind of, I like the original song's structure, and I thought it could work quite well as a heavy song. So that was my attempt at producing a heavier version of Africa.
Mm-hmm. Well, who doesn't love that song? I mean, come on.
That's right. So it's quite a dangerous song to actually try and cover, because people are going to be very critical of it. Some people didn't like it, others thought, this is quite cool. But anyway, it was just a fun thing for me to try anyway.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that struck me, Gary, was the cover songs are also locations in the world. Was that done on purpose?
Not really, no. I think New York was just, I've always liked that song, so that was just a cool one for me to choose. And then it was suggested to me that I give Africa a try, just obviously being from Zimbabwe, and in Africa that would be a cool one to actually cover. So that's why I chose it.
Mm-hmm. Now, excuse my geographical ignorance, but they talk about Mount Kilimanjaro. Are you close to there?
No, that's a bit further away. Was that in Kenya?
I have no idea. Tanzania. Apparently it's in Tanzania.
Yeah, I'll check my phone.
All right.
In the pyramid.
The volcano, yeah.
Which is scary, because you do not want to fall into a volcano.
You don't want to fall into a volcano, that's for sure. Beautiful. All right, now, Gary, one of the big questions I would normally ask this time of the year is about all the shows and festivals and tours and, bras and panties that were thrown on stage at you. But coronavirus has definitely changed the landscape of the world this year. So since this EP came out in July, is this kind of what you've been focusing on already? Did the events of the year not really change too much for you, or were there some things that you've been cooking up because you've got maybe more free time?
Yeah, no, that's true. In fact, since I'd finished this EP and with the lockdown, I have had more time to try and work on new tracks. So currently I've actually got 4 new songs which I'm putting towards a full album. So yeah, that's going to be hopefully out early next year.
Okay. So, I guess, interesting question, because from the beginning you said, it'd be faster if I just come out with an EP. So if you've already got 4 new songs, why an album instead of coming out with an EP?
Another EP. Yeah, and I found with this lockdown and not other stuff happening, and if I can just sit and focus on working on a song, I can get one done sort of within 3 to 4 weeks. So that's what I'm trying to do while I've got the inspiration now and the extra time. I'm just trying to do as much as I can, and because otherwise, what happened on Night Shift was I do a bit, and then months later come back to the same song and work on a bit, and it just was kind of sporadic getting that album produced, and then you kind of lose the original idea of the song and trying to figure out how to continue where you left off. So I found it's actually better to work while I've got the idea and try and get it done as quickly as possible before the idea is lost.
Okay. Very, very cool stuff there, Gary. Now, I guess without giving out too much, what can we expect from the album that is formulating?
Well, my main aim is to try and make it better than Stormscapes. The songs are going to have more stuff in them. I think more synths and more vocal layers, and so I'm trying to make it a bigger production than what Stormscapes was. It'll probably be a bit more industrial, maybe not so black metal-ish. Yeah, so back to being industrial and a bit more melodic, hopefully. So that's what I'm aiming for at the moment.
Okay. And then something you mentioned was you were experimenting with clean singing. Is that something we should expect on the album to come?
Definitely, yes. I am trying to improve on the clean singing, and so far the current 4 songs have quite a good balance of clean versus death vocals. whereas Night Shift and Stormscapes was predominantly just the harsh vocals.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Kind of a silly question, but do you enjoy working solo? Or is there a chance for maybe some guest musicians to come up?
I do enjoy working on my own. I think I like having control of everything. But no, definitely if towards the end of the album, if there was a session drummer or someone who was keen to replace the electronic drums, that would be really cool. But I think generally the guitars and vocals, and since that I like having full control of myself. Then at least if anything goes wrong, I've only got myself to blame, really.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but I think it's cool. But also with the lockdown, if I was dealing with other band members, I think it would be quite difficult trying to get stuff done. So yeah.
People have hearts of stone, Gary.
I think so. My friend Chris from Dividing the Element, who's he's also had this problem right now, just really struggling to get the band together and work on ideas because of the lockdown. And so I think for now, working as a solo project, it's working out better for me anyway.
Okay. Well, very cool stuff there, Gary. And that concludes all of the questions that I have. So unless there's anything that I didn't bring up that you wanted to chat about, please let me know. Otherwise, I just wanted to thank you for coming on to the Rock Metal Podcast today.
Sure, no, thanks. I've enjoyed being on the show.